Hi there, it's Steve Taylor from Unique. I'm excited to be interviewing Nick Gazzard from the Holly Gazzard Trust. Hi Nick, how you doing? How's things going?
Yeah, going well, thank you.
Good, good. Could you give our listeners a sort of run through of the history behind the Holly Gazzard Trust?
Yeah, well, obviously the trust was set up following the death of Holly, and she was murdered by her ex-partner on the 18th of February last year. And the reason why we set up the trust was to try and have a legacy for Holly. We thought she was too special a person just to be another statistic. You know, there are over 100 women that are killed every year as a result of domestic abuse, and we didn't want Holly just to be one of those. So we wanted to make something positive out of Holly's life, and the trust was something that we came up with, and it has three aims, the trust. One of those is to help young hairdressers. Now, Holly was a hairdresser. She spent 3 years with an apprenticeship. She got level 2 qualified, so she was fully qualified. She was creative, innovative, and really loved hairdressing. And we know how expensive it is to go through college to do hairdressing, so we thought it was apt that we would set up scholarships for young people in Gloucestershire that can have a talent, are creative, and want to pursue a career in hairdressing. And we partnered with Gloucester College, and we set up that probably June last year, and we have 4 or 5 people going through that course during the course of last year, and we're hoping for another 6 this year, so if we can get up to 12 it would be really, really good. The second part of what we do is all around helping young people, particularly in the field of domestic abuse and stalking. Now, Holly suffered that during her last year of life, and that was the reason why she was killed. So we have teamed up with Gloucester Domestic Abuse Support Service, commonly known as GDAS, and we fund one of their 4-time members of staff, and that individual will roll out one of the programmes that we're running, which is Holly's Young People. And there are 2 parts to that programme. One is all around education in schools and raise the awareness of healthy relationships. And to date they've gone in and done 33 different sessions covering 1,000 students, so that's really, really good. And the second part of it is around a programme called Crush, and that refers to individuals who have either been abused or have been in families where mum and dad are abusing each other, and they're traumatised by those actions. So we take them out of school on the weekends, and we take them through an accredited programme which lasts 10 weeks, and we try and get them back on the straight and narrow. So that's another aim of the trust. And the final aim is all around knife crime. You know, we know Holly died as a result of a knife, and there have been some high profile killings since, and one of the things we're trying to do is to raise awareness of knife crime, trying to reduce it in the city, and also antisocial behaviour. So we're working with another charity called Increase the Peace, and we're helping to fund them in terms of their youth workers, but also something called the Peace Peddlers, whereby they go out and reach the hard to reach kids who stand on street corners, and try and get them into the fold and bring them in to do things which they want to do: music, you know, arts, recreation. So we fund the Peace Peddlers, and we're going to do that for the next 2 years. So that was in brief.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's see, there's a lot going on there, and I've been to a couple of events that you've done this year, like behind closed doors, which was. Do you want to just touch on that a little bit, Nick?
Yeah, behind closed doors was something which I went to in London, and it was commissioned by the City of London Police, and that's all about domestic abuse and stalking in the workplace. You know, because domestic abuse and stalking doesn't stop when you get to work. You know, it doesn't just happen in the home. You know, it happens when you're at work, when you're at home, when you're between the two. So, behind closed doors is all about teaching the workforce, both employers and employees, about domestic abuse and stalking, how to identify it, what to do when you do identify it, but ensuring you have the right policies and procedures in place. So we brought that conference back to Gloucester, and we held that in June of this year. We had over 200 local businesses involved, and we're just now starting to do that follow through with them.
That's excellent, because Julie Etchingham, the ITV newsreader as well, who's a patron for you as well. How did that sort of come about, Julie doing that for you?
Well, Julie, as you know, is one of our patrons, and she's a personal friend of one of our ambassadors, Sophie Gardner,
right.
And that's where the connection is. But Julie agreed to speak at the conference. She's very much interested in what we're doing as a charity, and totally believes in our core values. And we were honoured for her to come down from London to speak at the conference, and I think that gave it a lot of gravitas as well. So that's really important for us.
And sort of going on sort of events that you've got planned for later on in the year? I know you've got the Skydive coming up next week.
Saturday week, yeah.
So you've got that. You've jumped out of the plane yourself.
I am, yes. I'm involved. Yeah, it was something that Holly always had on her bucket list, and I've always said that if Holly wanted to do it, then I would take over and I would do it. So I'm doing the Skydive along with 12 other people, including my other daughter Chloe.
Yeah.
And that's at the Army Parachute Centre in Wiltshire. So that's Saturday, 5th of September. So yeah.
Excellent. Looking forward to that.
I'm not looking forward to that. And the other thing I did was we ran in the Gloucester 10K this year as well. Again, something else that I know Holly wanted to try and do. I've never ran a race before, and it's the first one I've ever ran, and maybe the last as well. But yeah, I did it for her, so that was a good achievement for me as well.
Excellent. And with the Skydive and the other forthcoming events, how can people sort of get involved and sponsor and support in that way, Nick? How can they help in that respect?
Quite simply, they can do it via the net. You know, for the Skydive, we have lots of pages on Virgin Money Giving. So I've got one set up with Chloe, and the other people who've taken part have got their own pages as well, so they can go and search Holly Gazzard Trust there.
Yeah.
Or they can donate via our website, you know, www.hollygazzard.org. There are various ways you can donate on there. So yeah, absolutely. There's lots of different ways that they can donate.
Excellent. And so what other events have you got coming up as well later on this year, Nick?
The main event we got this year is our annual dinner on the 28th of November, Saturday 28th, which we're really looking forward to. That's it's a Vegas night. We've got 3 gaming tables, we've got photo booths, auctions, raffles. Tommy and Fuse are playing again for us, and they're fantastic. They do give us a lot of support. Hopefully it'll be as good an evening as last year. And we're hoping for 200 plus people to come along as well. Tickets will soon be available on the website.
Excellent. Sort of volunteer-wise, have you got scope for people to join, you know, to help you in that respect? Are you looking for volunteers as well, or?
Well, the whole trust is about raising funds for the projects and the programs that we run. And if we don't raise those funds, we can't run the project. So the more money we can get in, the more people we can help across the county. So we do run our own events, but we also have lots of events that we get invited to. So this weekend being the bank holiday weekend, we've got 5 events that we've been invited to. 3 at the same time, so we've had to split trustees up.
Yeah.
But we also ask for other people who want to volunteer to help us, and we've got something called Holly Helpers, and they're a group of people who are official helpers, official fundraisers for us. They attend our events, they run our stores, our stands, they fundraise, and we have about 6 or 7 of those at the moment. So if anyone's interested, then please just email me at nick@hollygazzard.org.
Brilliant. Okay. And there's also supporter events as well. So if somebody thinks that they've got an idea for something, they can get in touch with you as well. And
absolutely, we got one this weekend at Moo Moo's, which is the ladies' night, and that was Moo was getting in touch with us saying we'd like to do something for the trust, and we have this idea, and we work with them and say, fabulous, great, we'll come along, we'll support it as well. So that's an example. We've got the Cheltenham Half Marathon this year on I think it's the 27th of September. So we'll be there. We've got 4 or 5 people running for the trust, but if anyone still wants to run, we've got places. All they have to do is to raise a minimum of £100, and we'll give them a free vest as well to run in the trust colours. So that's a couple of events. Next year we've signed up to the Bath Half Marathon, so hopefully we're going to get some people to run for us there. We've got 10 places available, so we'll start to advertise that on the website in the next couple of months.
Excellent. So lots of things going on at all times.
Absolutely, it is. It's all about keeping the momentum going, and you know, and all these events are all about fundraising. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, the more money we can raise, the more people we can help across Gloucestershire.
Excellent. And sort of your vision, sort of moving forward with the trust. How do you sort of see things panning out? What's your sort of immediate to longer term plans, Nick?
Well, we've got the 3 areas that we currently run, which is the hairdressers, the domestic abuse, and the anti-knife crime and antisocial behaviour. The domestic abuse one is the one where we're concentrating quite a lot on, because that's where the need is most, and there's a lot of that around, and we're trying to raise the awareness, put the education in, with hopefully a preventative strategy going forward. So we're continuing to roll out the schools programme. and that will continue once people get back to school in September. But we're also working on a number of other areas as well. One of those is around the forces. We've had some initial discussions with the RAF at fairly senior level, and actually the person who's responsible for domestic abuse policy within the RAF. So we've got some meetings lined up with them to try and see if we can help them out, and that will sort of roll down to the cadets. And if what we do will be successful, which I'm sure it will be, then they're more than happy to bring in the other forces as well, the Army and the Navy. So that's a big area that we want to get involved with, and we feel that there's value there. Another area that we will be getting involved in a little bit later on in the year would be sports associations and sports clubs. We know that there's a lot of lad culture around. I play professional football, so I know what goes on in those areas. So it's a big area again which we want to get hold of and try and help out there, and try and raise the awareness of abuse and stalking, and if we can prevent things happening in the first place. Just make people think, give them the information, make them think about relationships and what they should gain, what they should respect other people, and hopefully we'll get the messages across. So those are two big areas going forward that we want to get involved with.
Yeah, so like you say, sometimes the lads aren't even aware that they're being this domineering behaviour, and they don't. It's just something they've picked up on, and
it's what they pick up from people who are a little bit older than them. And certainly with social media now, with the internet and with Facebook, etc. There's an added element out there which we have to make people aware of. Snapchat is one of those things. So what people might think is normal actually isn't normal and shouldn't happen, and they do cross boundaries. So if we can get them back on the straight and narrow, if we can teach them or make them aware of what's right, what's wrong, then they can make their own decisions on it. That's all we're trying to do, is to raise that awareness and educate individuals.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. Also, on the website as well, so people can buy things on the shop as well, can't they? Online, be it clothing and...
They can, One of the things is all about raising awareness of the trust, and you do that by advertising it. And the wristbands were one of the original things that we had, and those started off really by the fact that Holly wanted to travel the world. She never got the chance to, apart from when she was on the cruise ship. So we thought, if we can get wristbands, people can go away, they can take her with her, take photos and send them back in. And that's escalated, and we got thousands of those photos now from all around the world, which is fantastic. But people can buy wristbands on the website to show their support, but there are a range of other goods as well. We've got car stickers, mugs, pin badges, pens, clothing, anything which we think is right that people want to buy is on there. So go to the website, go to the shop, and it's all available.
Excellent. So from your perspective, sort of moving forward, where do you see sort of the main bit of your time over the next sort of couple of months? Your focus.
Focus at the moment, I think, is in domestic abuse and stalking in the workplace. It's something which will come out of the domestic homicide review on Holly, which is going to be published probably at the end of September, which is a big part of that. It's also a part of the Domestic Abuse and Sexual Violence Commission strategy for Gloucestershire over the next 5 years. It's one of the outcomes that we must actually increase the awareness of employers and employees of domestic abuse and stalking in the workplace. Holly was killed in the workplace, so that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. And I'm putting together a package which we can roll out to businesses for them to be able to buy into, and we can come in and we can deliver that service for them.
That's brilliant. And so what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Nick?
Simply just by emailing me direct, Nick at Holly, HOLLIE, Gazzard.org.
And you're on Twitter as well, and
Facebook, yeah, we are. Instagram, so we're on all those forms of social media.
And Chloe handles that all.
She does. I'm a bit old to handle social media, so I leave it to Chloe, who's much more up to speed than me. And if I got a problem, I just give her a ring and say, how can I do this or how do I do that? And she's really, really good. Yeah, we got something like 15,000 followers on Facebook, 3,000 on Twitter. So it's gathering speed.
Yeah, and you can obviously, it's good for you to put the different events and things that are going on and let
absolutely
people know.
Yeah, we try and keep it up to date as possible, and we put recent events in terms of perhaps a summary of what's happened, but even in future events we put lots of those on as well, so we try and keep that up to date.
Excellent. Is there anything else that you'd has that covered most things, Nick? Or?
I think it has, yes.
Okay.
It's a busy time for us, as you probably gather. But it's important that we increase the profile, we keep the momentum going. You know, I would say if anyone wants to join us and help us out and wants to be a Holly helper, then again, please get in contact.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, thanks then, Nick.
You're very welcome, mate.